So I am now sharing my screen with you. So hopefully you can see the presentation today. I'd like to take the opportunity just to go over a brief agenda that I put together. We're going to highlight a little bit about the McGill experience and spend most of our time focusing on the McGill application process, how admissions review happens, and then have time for Q&A. So hopefully that sounds great for everyone. Giving you a great look here at Montreal. This is definitely in the summer. It's a little bit more full of fall foliage, kind of autumn weather right now. We definitely have all four seasons on our campus, and Montreal will provide a safe and affordable place for your students to study, and it is voted by students as the best city in North America due to the quality of life, opportunity, but also a great opportunity for students to learn French as well during their time here, although it's not a requirement to study at our university. So we are celebrating over 200 years of education and research. Our students are internationally and nationally recognized. So it's definitely a place where you can send students to continue to be challenged academically. And it's a wonderful space and place for students to spend up to 4 years during their undergraduate degree. Montreal is certainly one of the reasons why our students choose to come to McGill. It really goes hand in hand with the McGill experience. So just to give you a visual of where we're located within Canada, we are on the East Coast. We're in Quebec. We're not very far away from the country's capital of Ottawa. We're about a 5-hour drive from Toronto, about a 6-hour drive to Boston, and about 6.5 hours to New York. So we're very well positioned on the East Coast, and students can definitely find connections with friends or family who might be here, and certainly explore other places when they do have a break as well. We also have a great cost of living, so this is something that I'm sure parents are excited to hear about in comparison to some of the other major city centers. When your student decides to join the McGill community, they're going to be amongst peers from around the world. And they'll also have the ability to submit their work in either French or English if they are already French speakers. And as I mentioned before, it's a great place to learn. So just some images here of Montreal, and knowing that it is a welcoming community for international students. Here at McGill, we do have over 39,000 students, and our student body represents over 150 countries and territories around the world. So students coming to McGill is a traditional thing. We definitely don't have that vibe of being a commuter campus because so many students have come from other provinces within Canada and other countries. It makes McGill's campus really the hub for students to exchange and connect within the city. Now, just giving you a breakdown here as well, we talked a little bit about where our students come from, but what about the languages that they speak? While we are an English language institution, we do have students who speak a variety of other languages as well. So that's great feedback to come to your students and bring that back. That certainly we have English language speakers, but over 33% of our students have a language other than English or French being their mother tongue. And of course, winter weather is going to be part of their dynamic as well. And just for students to know that they'll be able to experience and love all of the winter activities that Montreal has during our winter months. Montrealers definitely don't hibernate, and they'll be able to have a great resource in international student services on campus, which really prepares them for what they might need, as well as their friends who might be used to the weather as well. What's great about our campus is that there's a lot of connecting buildings, so students can stay warm even when it's chilly. So just a couple of things about McGill University's structure here. We do have two campuses, and I'll show you both of them briefly. We are a public institution, which is common for Canadian schools, and about 27,000 of our students are our undergraduate student base. Now, the degree that students will earn is one that they can certainly take with them post-graduation. It's a very portable and recognized degree, and we're very proud of the fact that not only do we have alumni who go on to great accomplishments such as Nobel Prizes and Rhodes Scholars, but we also have a commitment to scholarships and bursaries. We're actually the #1 university in Canada for our scholarship and bursary portfolio. We're also a very sustainable campus, which I think students, certainly in this generation, are looking for ways that they can contribute to being green, and having a university and campus that speaks to that is going to be something that hopefully resonate with them. So our downtown campus is our main campus, and you can see here it's got that traditional setting. You have gates to go in, gates to go out. So while we're located in an urban city, they do have their own space within kind of those green spaces and gates to come in and out of campus. It's a mix of historic buildings, but also some newly added labs, and always changing to move forward in the future for the best student spaces that we can offer our students. So other great images here, you can see students really are present on campus, whether that's supporting our athletic teams or just enjoying the outdoor spaces to connect to each other. And then we have McDonald campus as well. So McDonald campus might be a bit of a hidden gem for many of you. It is home to about 2,000 students, so it's smaller in size, great for anyone who is thinking about studying in the sciences and their very specific offerings, which would be environment, as well as nutrition, global food security, agroeconomics. It's about 45 minutes away from downtown Montreal, so it is a commute. Most students would live on McDonald campus, especially in their first year, but they have all of the services and experiences and support that students would have downtown as well. It offers a lot of great hands-on learning, and students are super passionate about their experience out at McDonald campus, which is a little bit more suburban in setting. And we do have residences on both of our campuses, and just letting you know that is guaranteed for all first-year students. We do have a lot of supports, which I mentioned are available to students on both of our campuses. They really go through, I think, the whole array of needs that students, especially going to university, maybe moving away from home, will need. Everything from mental health to spiritual guidance, academic resources, career preparation, and then cultural, social, financial, and physical health services. Our student services office is there to direct students to all of the things that will help them throughout their degree, and of course, acclimatizing to perhaps a new country. Our students learn outside of the classroom, so it's not just your traditional academic setting. We do have research available for undergraduate students, field study opportunities where students can travel with McGill professors to one of our permanent research stations in warmer places like Barbados, Guatemala, rotationally in Africa, and then also some colder places like northern Quebec and the Arctic. We do have internships that you'll hear a lot about, where students can get professional experience across all faculties. And then we do have some programs where there will be co-op options. I'll be sure to point those out. We have study abroad as well. So coming to Canada and studying at McGill may be a study abroad experience for many of your students. But if they'd like to experience another institution, another country, this is a possibility in their second or third year. And I'd just like to highlight some of our students that are currently student ambassadors on campus that have come to us from a variety of places in the globe and are in um, a variety of stages of their student experience. So first you'll see Iman, who is a student who originated from Malaysia, has studied also in the US, started at McGill in our Bachelor of Arts and Science degree, and graduated in cognitive science. Then went on to a master's in speech language pathology, and next year will be entering medical school. So a very exciting trajectory, 3 McGill degrees that will be under his belt, but really a super involved student who not only had a part-time job, but also perfected his French language skills while here in Montreal studying at McGill. And then we have Lakshmi, who is a local student who is in computer engineering, did an internship with Microsoft, will be graduating this spring and already has her job in Vancouver lined up from that internship that she would have had this summer. So exciting that she doesn't have to now look for a job post-graduation. She has one ready and waiting for her. And then we have Mark, who is from the US and is actually doing a dual degree in music and science. So about, but is able to study in both of his interests, which is science and music, and will be earning a Bachelor of Music and a Bachelor of Science upon graduation. So the flexibility that students have is amazing, and they'll be able to take their McGill degree on for their next trajectory. After graduation, students can also choose to stay in Canada. So when you graduate from a Canadian institution, your students may apply for permanent residency. They can also look into becoming a Canadian citizen, but in the meantime, they can apply for that postgraduate work permit, which allows them at least 3 years of workforce experience here in Canada. And of course, they can look for jobs across the country. I would invite them to take a look at the Immigration Canada website for more details about this opportunity. So the admissions process. Hopefully this is something that's going to be straightforward to many of you. Canadian institutions do require that students have an idea of what they want to study. So we're highlighting here over 300 different programs, but students don't enter as undeclared. They'll be applying to our faculties, which are like schools or colleges, really the home base where they'll pursue the rest of their studies. That could be in the Faculty of Arts by doing an interfaculty of arts or science degree. They could also complete an education bachelor's degree. They could also provide a Bachelor of Engineering or a Bachelor of Commerce in our management faculty. We also have nursing, science, so lots of great opportunities downtown. We have at McDonald campus our Faculty of Agriculture and Environmental Science, and as I mentioned, human nutrition, but also an engineering program, bioresource engineering. When it comes to applying, we don't have any early action or early decision deadlines. Everyone has one central deadline to apply. For international students, that's January 15th. And the application is open now. It opens October 1st of each year. We really suggest that students consider applying to 2 programs of study. It doesn't matter what is listed as first choice or second choice. They'll be able to be considered equally for both program choices, and they'll receive 2 separate independent decisions. We do ask that students also opt into residence at that point. Now, as an international student, they'll also have a supporting document deadline if anything is necessary to be provided, and this is all a part of their professional checklist on their application. For some students, that might include proof of English proficiency. And then we do have some programs such as architecture, education, music, nursing, social work, for instance, that will have supplemental pieces. Architecture, for instance, has a portfolio. So there are no reference letters, essays, or personal statements as part of our admissions review, and no extracurricular information as well. So this tends to be the standard for most Canadian schools, but of course in Canada, each institution could be quite different from province to province or from institution to institution. What I would like to highlight to you is that while we have faculties that may be associated with particular majors and academic areas, there are quite a few areas where students will find certain majors cross-offered, and some of them can be some of our most popular majors. So when you're talking to them about program choices and having that discussion, it's really great to take a look at the website, use our program finder tool, and experiment with the options for studying in some unique places, some of the majors that they're interested in. For instance, computer science is offered in more than one place, art as well as science. Environment is offered on 2 different campuses in 4 different faculties or schools, so giving them a lot of to combine it with other areas of study. So when students are taking a look as well at our previous minimums and prerequisite requirements, they can differ quite greatly from one faculty to the other. So using kind of this as a guideline, looking at the program finder, doing their research beforehand, it's going to allow them to make program choices that have a little bit of strategy behind them and give them a good backup plan if perhaps their first choice program is a competitive one. And when it comes to applying, students do have to, as I mentioned before, apply to a specific faculty or school. And for some, that's all they have to identify is that they are applying to the Faculty of Arts or the Faculty of Management, for instance. But if they're applying to science, they actually have to apply to a particular group. So biological, biomedical, and life sciences, the physical sciences, or our biophysical computational science group. And depending on which group they're offered admission for, they'll be able to select majors underneath that umbrella, usually after their first year. And then we have some programs where students can apply directly to the major. Education, which also includes our Bachelor of Science in Kinesiology. Engineering, which also includes our Bachelor of Science in Architecture, and then music and nursing. Students do have to apply to majors for these programs, and they can use their 2 program choices to apply to 2 majors underneath that faculty umbrella. For instance, in engineering, they could apply to software engineering as well as computer engineering, for instance. We do not have direct admission to medicine, dentistry, and law, which is really important for students to know. I know many students aspire to careers in these areas, so know that it's part of the McGill landscape, but they can't apply to it from high school. It's something that they would apply to at the end of their undergraduate degree. So admissions requirements. So depending on how students are applying, a reminder here of the January 15th deadline and supporting documents, that's one step. But completing their application is the next step. And while we give March 1st as the deadline, of course, we recommend that students complete their application and all their checklist requirements as soon as possible. We'll be looking at the student educational background, so the curriculum that they are following, high school diploma that they're going to obtain, and then any prerequisite subjects for that program. So the QR code that you have on the screen now will take you to our website, and you can look at all of the different diploma types, requirements, and prerequisites associated with all of the program choices that students can apply to directly from high school. So for Canadian high school programs outside of Canada, which I'm assuming many of your students are pursuing, just reviewing some of the things that we look at. So we look at all high school results including first semester, second quarter grades, particularly for the grade 12 year. We are looking at grade 11 and grade 12 overall averages for these students and any results in prerequisite courses. Students who are studying outside of Canada, they may have an ULAC ID. They can provide that to us, but likelihood is that we will ask them to upload some of their high school transcripts as well to their application checklist. And this can include 9th, 10th, and 11th results and any interim results for grade 12. And of course, they may be asked for proof of English proficiency if they have not been studying in an English-speaking country for 4 years. And this should come to us directly from the testing organization. I would say that as a reminder, when your students are applying, it's super important that they give their full educational history. Certainly indicating Rosedale or any other school system that they have been a part of during their high school years. And then all students are considered for scholarships, and we have last year's average, grade 11 and grade 12 courses are considered in that calculation. When it comes to proof of English proficiency, a QR code here for you to grab. So some of the exemptions for proof of English proficiency can be based on the type of curriculum they're following, but we also accept all of the major tests, including Duolingo, IELTS, and TOEFL. And this is a great way for you to view, as I mentioned, our website and all of the different curriculum categories that are there, along with prerequisites and previous year's minimums. Another word of advice that you can give to your students is that after the application deadline, it's really important that they keep track of their application status, that they're accessing the student application portal, Minerva. Not a lot happens between a decision and them completing their application, but if we do ask for something new, it's important for them to be able to complete it as soon as possible. So if they could just schedule a time to check in periodically, of course, they'll get an email notification that something new is on their checklist or there's been a change in their application status, but sometimes those get filtered into junk mail. And so if they can just, make it a point of checking in every so often, that would be amazing. And we'd also like to promote McGill Summer Academy. We do have this summer experience, which is great for any students who are in 10th or 11th grade to come spend 2 weeks in Montreal. We'll have 2 cohorts during the month of July. They get an academic portion. They get to have a lot of fun, explore the city, meet students from around the world, see what it's like to be at McGill, meet McGill students who will be their team leaders, and then also some great workshops that are perfect for preparation for university planning and adjustment, which is right around the corner. So there is a QR code for there. Information will be updated very shortly for Summer Academy, and applications should open up later in November, and decisions usually go out in February and March. We have lots of ways for your students as well as yourself to connect. We have campus tours both in person and virtually, so that's a great way to explore a little bit more about McGill. And then you have the opportunity to talk with the McGill students. Our student ambassadors allow you to book time with them to have some more in-depth chats about their experience. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen now and turn back. Hopefully everyone's been able to hear me throughout a scene. If you can, you share with me any questions that you might have right now.
Thank you so much, Melanie, for this informative session. So we have one question under Q&A, and I'm just going to read that question.
Sure.
So the question comes as, does McGill organize tours for international guidance counselors? If yes, when do they happen?
Do we have any organized tours for international guidance counselors? So there is one that we are completing in partnership with Concordia University, Carleton University, Queen's University, and Ontario Tech. So I can definitely look for the landing page for that opportunity and share that with you. But that will be happening in the month of July this summer, and you can apply to be part of the tour. And we're hoping, again, to have our confirmations out to interested counselors probably by the month of March, so you can start making your plans as soon as possible. But I'll share that link for you. Great question.
That's great. Thank you so much. I have a couple of questions as well in terms of a couple of in different areas. So what is the acceptance rate for international students at McGill University based on like the last 2 years? Melanie, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Melanie?
Yeah, so I can't hear you, but I'm reading the transcript, so that helps us see. So as far as the acceptance rate for international students at McGill, um, again, it really depends on the program that students are applying to, because we are a grade-based process for students. A lot of them do self-select based on the minimum. So I would say, a faculty like our Faculty of Arts, students might have more of a success within that area because it is a larger faculty. But what I can share with you is entering class by region for overseas. For instance, if we look at our entering class, it is traditionally about 30 percent international each year. So those are students that are applying and accepting their offer. But then if we have students who apply to engineering, for instance, we have about 9,000 students apply to our engineering programs. And that's for about just under 800 spaces. So the selectivity in engineering is quite high in contrast to our Faculty of Arts, where we just have more spaces for students. Science as well, we receive just under 15,000 applications, and that's for just over 1,000 spots. So our programs are very selective, but again, students are using the cutoffs that we do post on our website to provide them a little bit of transparency as to whether or not they would be a competitive applicant for a particular program.
That's great. Thank you so much. I have another question. So do international students have the option to work on campus to gain valuable experience?
Yeah, so that's a great question. International students do have the opportunity to work in Canada and on campus.
Yep.
So the federal study permit that they receive is also their work permit. It allows them to work on campus as well as off campus. jobs are readily available on campus, and I would always say it's great for students to have their school as their employer because obviously they understand, the dates around midterms or exams or traveling back home. But they can look for jobs off campus as well. I would say in Montreal, it's important if you're looking at any service industry jobs to have some French language understanding and being able to communicate within the city. But certainly when it comes to internships or co-op opportunities, students do find that in Montreal that they do have options, even if they are unilingual or bilingual, but just not with
Yeah.
French being their second language. And that study permit slash work permit is open. So during the summer, they are able to go across Canada. So if they wanted to go home with a friend to Toronto or Vancouver or find a job opportunity in Calgary and explore Canada a little bit more, they're able to do so. And they can work full time during any breaks. And traditionally, I would say students work about maximum 20 hours during the school year.
That's great. Thank you so much, Melanie. There is one more question in the Q&A. Does McGill conduct international recruitment visits? Which countries does McGill traditionally visit if we were to organize the school visits?
Okay, that's wonderful. So we are already this year returning to some international visits. We have partnered with UBC and U of T in Latin America, and so we're traveling with them there. We'll also have a representative at some of the expos in China that are happening very shortly, I believe, later this month and into early November. So that's part of the government of Quebec uh, kind of they're bringing together other Quebec institutions. So you can look for McGill in China very shortly. And then in the spring, we're hoping to get to Africa. We'll be at EduCanada this fall in the UK. So traditionally, we certainly have been in these markets, but definitely expanding a little bit more. So if you do have interest in having McGill come, and if you're looking to have us schedule schools within your area, that's definitely something that we're interested in hearing more about. I'm trying to find a way to share a link to the tour that we're hosting. But if you are interested in the tour, I believe you have my contact information. And Eston, is there a way that I could send the invitation to you and we could send it out to anyone who attended this session today?
Melanie, what you can do is you can use the comment section and post under the comments, and I will be able to share the comments with
Okay.
everybody.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, let me do that.
And we have one more question, Melanie. Can you speak about the entrance requirements for Bachelor of Science in terms of agriculture and environmental sciences programs? How can students maximize their chances of acceptance? Were you able to post, Melanie?
Okay.
Yeah. Can you hear me, Melanie?
I am struggling a little
Yeah.
bit with that
Yeah.
poster. So what I will do is, uh, let's see if that works.
Yeah.
It's a PDF, so
Okay. That's
hopefully
great.
that
We can
works.
see that now. Thank you so much for sharing that document. We have a couple of more questions
Wonderful.
under
Great.
the Q&A, in which one of the question which came in is, could you shed some light on what sets McGill apart from other universities? What kind of atmosphere, opportunities, and facilities could students look forward to, and what kind of students do you think would succeed at the university?
Oh, wow, those are all great
Yeah.
questions. Tackle the first one. So what sets McGill apart from other universities? I think um, it's definitely the students that we attract, the community itself, and our location. I think those are really great factors when we're discussing what McGill could be um, for your student experience at university. One, they're going to be joining a lot of students who are kind of open to being global citizens, are open to listening to the perspectives of other students in the classroom who bring a different point of view. And this is both in the classroom, but outside of the classroom. You're also with students who are entering with the same type of academic commitment that you have. So this resonates with a lot of our students. I think they're also not only not challenged so much by each other, but it lifts that all students are kind of entering on a level playing field, and it is a community that's not competitive once they get here. It's very collaborative. And then that also resonates with their relationships with professors and graduate students. So that model of collaboration is something that will be with them throughout their McGill experience for sure. And then, of course, being at an urban campus that doesn't feel so urban in the sense that they're not running across busy city streets to get from class to class. They have their home within the city of Montreal, which is McGill's central campus, but then they have everything that they could imagine in the city, whether that's food that reminds them of home, because you can travel the world in McGill's food scene and restaurants that will give them a taste of maybe what they're leaving, and give them a bit of comfort there. And they will find students, who are interested in research and internships, and want to kind of diversify their university experience in the same ways that they want to. It's also not a school where community is found in one place. It's found in multiple places. So definitely a lot of students start to meet new people in residence, but they also are passionate about their student groups or their athletics or their study groups, whatever that might look like. That's how students are making friends. That's where the sense of community at McGill is. It's in all of the variety of interests that they have, and they're able to meet students who are from outside of their program, which is amazing, and really inspire each other.
That's great, Melanie. It's really good to hear that, like it's at Montreal, you can have all the diversified food and choices. That's great. You mentioned about a lot of a variety of programs which are offered at McGill. Do you mind speaking a little bit more about Bachelor of Science, which is Agriculture and Environmental Sciences program, and like how many students are accepted in that program?
Yeah, absolutely. So when it comes to our faculty of agriculture and environmental science and the Bachelor of Science degrees that they offer, there's some fantastic and unique ones there. Um, so students can look at programs in environment, there's biology, there's obviously a lot of outdoor resources for them to explore, nutrition, dietetics, food science, large animal biology, wildlife biology, water systems. So we like to say that at our McDonald campus, um, students there like to get their hands dirty. They like to put what they learn in the classroom to practice out in the outdoor resources that are there for them, but they're also saving the world. So some of the areas that they can study in are going to be kind of changing the way our world functions. They're innovative. There's a lot of opportunities for research. Some of our largest research grants are actually for things that are being conducted at McDonald campus. So when we talk about undergraduate research, students out at Mac, they're going to have a lot of access to that. Also, some funding to support students there as well. And there's also a great mix of local students and international students at McDonald campus, smaller class size, lower student to professor ratio, so you're really getting to know your community out at Mac. As far as applying to these programs and getting into these programs, there are some lower averages there, so it maybe is a little bit more accessible for students who are maybe a little bit nervous about applying to McGill, are looking for a science degree, see kind of where our physical sciences and life sciences may be, but then they can find that they're right on track for some of those MAT programs. So they may not be as selective. However, the quality of students that are applying are still amazing, and the quality of the degree that they're going to be earning there is fantastic. And they're also going to get all of the prerequisites that they may need, for graduate programs or even medical school down the road. So I'm so glad that you asked a little bit more about McDonald campus.
That's great. Thank you so much, Melanie, for your time today in this session, and you have a wonderful day.
Oh, and a wonderful day to everyone as well. I hope we can connect again in the future. I hope some of you will consider joining us for the tour and that we can make some great connections for visits down the road as well as we return to more in-person recruitment.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining this session, and you enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you.